I want to go ahead and make this video really quick here this morning. I have to be somewhere in a few moments, so I got to be very quick. I got to go shopping. I woke up this morning and all my underwear were in the garbage, and when I asked why are all my underwear in the garbage, I was told that once your youngest son is in the second grade and all your underwear are older than your youngest son, it's time to go shopping for new underwear. I could tell from the tone that there was no point in arguing that point, so I've got to go shopping here in a few moments. You probably didn't need to know that, but I wanted to let you know why I've got to be so quick about this video, so if it seems hurried, that is why. But I really wanted to make this video because yesterday I made a video on how to present a proper pro-gun argument, how not to fall into a lot of the traps a lot of people fall into that either make you look crazy or make you look like someone no one wants to listen to, or turns off the other side of the, or turns off people in the middle of the argument. In the comments of that video, I've noticed that a couple of things. I've noticed, for one, that most of the comments are extremely positive and supportive, and people agree. So people do know that there is a point in knowing how to properly present your argument. But in the negative comments, I've noticed a trend, a couple of trends here. And I wanted to address those. And one of the things I want to address first is, well, there's several things I want to address. I'll go over here what I want to address. One is the idea that the administration is completely against us, and no matter what we do, we're going to be screwed either way because they just are out to get us no matter what. Two, that no one ever listens to arguments anyway, so why bother making them? Everyone's already decided, everyone's already divided, no one's going to pay attention, no one's going to be swayed. And three, that I don't even want to be a part of the argument because even though I'm pro-gun, the people that are pro-gun that are making the arguments, well, they seem like jerks, they seem like revolutionaries, or they seem like, people that are just waiting, stockpile. One guy said they're just waiting to stockpile guns and ammo for the day they can turn on the government. And it's just, I don't want to address all these issues really quickly here. First off, this idea that the government is against you, the current administration is against you, and you're going to lose no matter what, well, that's ridiculous. You don't understand politics. Politicians are out for one thing, that's themselves and their power. And they're going to do whatever the public opinion is. They're going to follow public opinion because they want to get reelected. They want to keep their party in power. They're not going to go against popular opinion. They're not going to come out and say, okay, I know that 80% of the country disagrees with this, but I'm going to do it anyway. So it's very important that you actually have the support of public opinion. It's like the Obama administration. It doesn't matter if they're anti-gun or if he's anti-gun. He hasn't really done anything anti-gun. But the thing is, when he got a chance the other day when this happened in Connecticut, he could have very easily stepped behind one of the 3 existing bills that are already out there and said, I'm going to push this bill through. And at that time, that week, he probably could have gotten it through. But he didn't. What did he do? He stepped back, he held a press conference and said, I'm going to form a committee to look into the problem and see what we can do. That is the quintessential stall tactic. That is basically doing nothing. What they're doing is they're waiting to see where the ball lands in the court of public opinion before they do anything that might hurt them. And that's smart politics. It's not what I would consider decisive action, but it is smart politics. And so, that whole idea that the government's out to get us no matter what, that is just part of the problem that makes pro-gun people look bad. That whole, the government is the bad guys and we're the good guys. The government is us. We have a government of the people. So having that opinion, you just need to pull your head out of your ass and realize the government isn't out to get you. It's not them versus us, it is us. So that whole attitude is just kind of silly in my opinion. If you don't like government, you can change government. You can change the people that are in government. Unfortunately, most people fall for the same tricks every year and they re-vote in the same people that don't do anything because they prey on their prejudices and their biases, and then they allow them to vote with their emotions instead of with their minds. So, we end up in the same boat as we always were. But as far as the government being out to get us, they're not out to get us. They're out to do whatever's best for them. So as long as we can keep public opinion on our side, they'll do what's best for them. The other idea that people don't listen no matter what, that everyone's already decided and no one's going to listen to your argument no matter how valid it is, well, that's ridiculous. That is just a fallacy created by these same politicians and people that prey on keeping us divided, that rely on us being divided so they can stay in power. Because if we were ever united, we realize, hey, some of these people don't do anything except for stir up trouble, except for be biased, except for be partisan, and we need to get them out there and get people in that are actually going to do something. So if we ever came together and did that, that'd be really bad for most of the politicians. So they have a vested interest in keeping us divided. And this whole rhetoric that no one ever listens, so you might as well just scream at each other because no one's going to listen anyway, well, that's ridiculous. I'm swayed by arguments every day. I know people that are swayed by arguments every day. Most people are not Foxy News people or MSNBC people. Most people don't even watch the news. Most people don't even have formed solid opinions about most topics. So this pretending that all people are extremists is ridiculous, because extremists make up a small end of each end of the spectrum, and everyone else in between is not an extremist. So this whole notion that we're a nation of extremists is ridiculous. It's when it's created by our political structure to try to keep us divided. So once we overcome that, we start to realize that people do listen to arguments, and we start presenting our arguments in a civilized way, well, then we might actually be making progress. But as long as you maintain that idea that no one's going to listen anyway, well, then you're never going to make any progress. So that's one of the things that bothers me the most. The last thing I want to talk about is these people who say, well, I don't even want to be part of the pro-gun argument, because the people that are part of the pro-gun argument are people I don't want to be associated with. The loudest people are the craziest people, they'll say. In fact, I had one person in here talking about how, when you watch the YouTube gun channels, we come off as a bunch of people that are stockpiling guns and ammo for the day we turn on our government. And, they're crazy, apocalypse survivalist people. And that's just not the reality of most gun owners. And it makes me sick that that's allowed to be presented as the main image. And what I say to these people who say this, well, it's like, well, if you don't agree with them, why don't you be the voice of reason in the room? If you don't like the loudest voice, well, don't let it be the loudest voice, and especially don't let it be the only voice in the room. Be the voice of reason. Be the person that you want to be, that you want to see other people being. Be the reasonable voice behind the pro-gun movement. If you allow the nut jobs to talk, well, of course they're going to talk the loudest and talk the most, because they are the nut jobs. Look at the people like myself that do YouTube channels. We're the loud mouths. We're the nut jobs. We're the ones that talk the most. We need people that don't want to be extremists to come up and talk. The people who want to be reasonable, the people who want to present a good argument. So don't be deterred just because you don't want to be like this other person, or you don't want to be associated with this other person. If you don't like what they're saying, say you don't like what they're saying, and present your reasonable arguments. Present your reasonable, present yourself in a way that people look at you and go, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's not being offensive to me. He's not calling me libtard. He's not calling me names. He's not using profanity every other sentence. He's not saying the government is killing children to get laws passed. He's not a crazy person. So if you don't want the voice of the gun movement to be the crazy people, well, talk over them. Shout them down. Put them in their place when you see them. Don't allow them to be the only voice in the room, if that's what your problem is. I hate it when people say, well, this is the problem, but I'm not going to do anything about it. In this situation, it's very easy to do something about it when the reasonable people speak up. If reasonable gun owners start speaking up, the small percentage of gun owners that are these crazy ranting nut jobs on the internet, well, they'd be overshadowed almost instantly, because there'd be a flood of what gun owners, what the real representation of gun owners is, that would just overwhelm them almost instantly. So basically, those are the things I wanted to touch on right there. And like I said, in my previous video, I didn't give you the arguments to use. I was just telling you how to present your arguments. Because a lot of people are like, well, what arguments should we use? Well, it's up to you to decide what arguments you want to use. Do your research and find things out for yourself. Because like I say, if I give you information, then you don't really know that information. You've just got secondhand information. Do your research, find your arguments, find your base, and then stick to it, and learn the things you need to learn to present a good argument. You don't want to go into an argument uneducated or with false information. So that's why I didn't give you arguments to use. I want you to learn your own arguments. I want you to look them up yourself. That way you will have a better understanding of them. I just want you to start presenting them in a better way. And the point of this video is to say, once you do learn your arguments, and once you do know how to present them in a way where people will actually listen, there is a reason to do it. It isn't this no-win situation. If we present ourselves in a positive way, people will listen.